Welcome to the Moon Manifesting Podcast. I'm Kyra, Howearth, your host. Here on the show, we talk all about manifesting your dreams with the power of the moon so you can use the cosmic energy to transform your life. I've got a question for you today. Do you repress emotions? Sometimes when we're not ready to deal with emotions or even trauma, we might suppress or repress these emotions. And when we hide away these emotions because we're just not ready to deal with them, unfortunately, they can get stored within the physical body. And when this happens, this can result in physical symptoms. So maybe you repress grief or sadness and then suddenly you've got a cough or you've got lung issues. Or maybe you're carrying around emotional baggage and your hips are feeling a bit funny. So there is actually a strong correlation between specific emotions and different areas of the body, different physical symptoms or injuries or things that may occur on a physical level. Everything is linked. And in today's episode, I'm going to go into exactly how this works and what you can do to release these repressed emotions out of the body. But first, let me share a story with you. So I was never really great at dealing with emotions when I was younger. I used to cry a lot as a child, but as I grew up a bit older, I learnt to just kind of suck it up, have a teaspoon of cement, and just carry on. And I began to really repress my emotions a lot. I didn't want to be the person who was crying all the time, who was emotional. So I would hide a lot of the time how I was actually feeling. I would just put a smile on my face and just carry on. And then I would wonder why I would end up sick or injured quite often. I would have a bit of a cold, or maybe I'd have a runny nose, have a chronic cough. And I'd often also have like random things happen to me, like I'd trip over, sprain my ankle multiple times, I'd be limping around with a sore knee, random things like that. And it wasn't really until I did my yoga teacher training about 5 years ago that I began to understand the importance of releasing emotions out of the body because our body stores these emotions and that can result in these different things that come up, whether we get injured or whether we have lingering symptoms. I began to understand how everything is linked, our thoughts, our feelings, and our physical body. So my healing journey took a turn for the better once I started my yoga teacher training, as I began to learn not only how to heal my body, but also my mind and my spirit. So in this episode, let's explore how you can continue your own healing journey too. So welcome back to the Moon Manifesting Podcast. My name is Kyra, and like I said, today we are exploring how to release emotions out of the body, because maybe you're someone who's been repressing emotions, maybe you don't notice that you're repressing emotions, but maybe you have physical symptoms that are going on that are a bit unexplained. No matter what you do, it just won't resolve. So we're going to be covering a bit of that in today's episode. So first up, I would like you to maybe do even a bit of a body scan. Maybe I'll guide you through one right now, where we're going to move through the body and notice what's coming up within the physical body. And maybe you can start to make a list of all the things that are coming up in your physical body. So maybe you start up at the head. Is there anything going up there in the head, maybe within the brain, or actually the actual head, the hair, maybe the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth? Is there anything going on within the face? Maybe anything going on around the neck, the throat, moving over to the shoulders. Is there anything going on there? Even like stiffness or tension. Bringing your awareness down through the arms, down into the hands and the fingers. Do you have anything going on? Maybe there's like one particular finger that's a bit funny. Maybe there's something going on as we move down through the abdomen into the chest. Maybe further down through the abdomen into the belly, stomach area. Maybe you've got digestive issues. Maybe you've got reproductive issues going on if we move a bit further down. Maybe we go down into the hips. Notice how your hips are feeling. Moving down through the legs, Noticing what's coming up. Is there anything going on with the joints, the muscles, or anything else? Moving all the way down to the feet and to the toes. So maybe through this body scan process, you have made a list, whether it's a mental list or maybe you're writing it down, making a note of anything that's coming up in your body. This is going to be the basis of our investigation today. We're putting on our investigation hat today, being detectives of our own bodies. And we're going to work out exactly what's coming up within the body, what this means, and how to release that out. So once you have that list of physical things that are going on, maybe you can start to see, are there links between different symptoms or things that are going on? Maybe you have some issues that are all linked to the respiratory system. So maybe like there's something going on with the lungs, maybe with the nose even, maybe there's some sort of link. Or maybe there's a link between your musculoskeletal system, maybe the muscles, bones, maybe there's something going on there. Maybe there's hormonal or reproductive issues going on. Maybe there's a link there between your different symptoms, different things that are going on. So just making an observation here, just seeing what we can find out, being an investigator today. And once we find maybe there's links, maybe there's no links, maybe you just have these random things, and that's fine too. I would like you to start to think back, maybe just thinking back for one symptom at a time or one thing that's going on in the body at a time, and think back to when it began. What was happening when that started? And if you can think right back to the exact moment that that symptom began or when that injury occurred, maybe you can think back and remember exactly what was going on through your mind at that time or what emotions were arising. And if, this happened quite a long time ago, if you've been dealing with some sort of chronic injury or condition for quite some time, you might not be able to remember that far back to the specifics. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. We're just looking for clues here. So just being an investigator, seeing what's coming up. Do you notice, was there any emotions or thoughts that were going on at the time that your symptoms began or that the injury occurred? Just making a note, seeing what comes up. So from here, our next step is to identify any linked emotions or thought patterns. So maybe now we've already come up with that emotion or thought that was arising at the time of the physical symptom or injury. But are there any other emotions or thoughts that may be linked to your physical symptoms? Can you find any sort of link there? And don't worry if it sounds really weird, because a lot of the time, sometimes we do go a bit weird and we're trusting our intuition. It may not make logical sense, right? But if we trust our intuition, then we're usually on the right path. So just seeing what comes up for you here. So if you maybe have a sore shoulder and maybe you think back and you're like, oh, that's right. This started when I was at work and I got this huge stack of extra paperwork to do and I was like, oh no. And then suddenly my shoulder got really sore. Or maybe something like that happened. Like there was maybe some thought or emotion that came up, or maybe it continues to come up as you keep moving through these physical symptoms or injuries. So just noticing what comes up. And maybe here you can start to think about, okay, so maybe I've got a sore knee. What emotion or thought pattern could actually be related to that? If you're not actually sure what happened at the time, maybe you can start to think, okay, well, maybe it could be related to this emotional issue that's been coming up in my life lately. Like maybe you're having an argument or conflict with someone in your life, or maybe you're just going through a really rough time. Maybe you're feeling really stuck. Whatever it is, just think about what emotions or thoughts may be related to whatever's going on within the body. And if you're feeling really stumped at this point, if you're like, Kyra, I really don't know, stop asking me because I don't know. There are so many ways that we can find more clues. One of my favorite resources for this particular work, finding these metaphysical links, is Louise Hay's Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. So this is a really popular book. It has been around for a while. Louise Hay, she is such a key figure when it comes to understanding the emotions and thoughts and how they link to specific symptoms or body parts or that sort of thing. So You Can Heal Your Life is a book by Louise Hay, and I do recommend checking that out, especially if you are really interested in finding this link between emotions and thoughts and the physical symptoms, because she really goes into it in quite some depth. And at the back of her book, she has like an easy reference guide where you just look through, it's an alphabetized list, you look for your symptom or injury or something like that, and it will tell you exactly like what sort of emotion or thought pattern is linked to that. And she also gives an affirmation that you can repeat to yourself to help resolve that. So that's a really fun tool to use. And then maybe from here, we can go a step further by exploring those physical symptoms and maybe linking them up to a meridian. If you have no idea what meridians are, don't worry. I'm not going to go into that in too much depth in today's episode. But maybe if you're here, maybe you have some sort of understanding of the meridians. The meridians are a traditional Chinese medicine concept, and these are our energetic pathways through the body where energy travels. And sometimes the energy can get stuck or blocked within our meridians, and then that can display as physical symptoms. So that can be another layer to add on to find these clues to understand exactly what's coming up within the body, how that's linked to our emotions and thoughts, and then we'll know more about how we can release that and how we can help to resolve that physical symptom or issue. So for example, with the meridians, maybe if we feel a lot of sadness or grief, that can be to do with the lung meridian. If we are maybe plagued by fear, if we're really holding ourselves back because we're afraid, that can be to do with the kidney or the bladder meridian. If you're feeling really worried all the time or anxious, this can be related to the stomach or spleen meridians. So there is a very strong link between emotions and meridians. So it's also worth looking into and maybe doing a bit of research into that if this is something that resonates with you, if you're maybe seeing a link there or you'd like to find a link there as well. So the next part is that we're actually going to release these emotions out of the body, getting into the juice of today's episode now. We've done all this investigation. We've done all this like observing what's going on within the body. We've looked at our physical symptoms. We've started to connect those to emotions and thoughts, whether it's what was coming up at the time or maybe what's still coming up with that particular physical symptom or injury. So now we get to the fun part of actually releasing it out of the body. So the thing is that with repressed emotions or just emotions that aren't properly processed and released out of the body is that they do get stored within the body, and they get stored within the connective tissue. More specifically, they get stored within the fascia. And the fascia, if you haven't heard of this, it is a thin layer of connective tissue that's just beneath the skin, and it basically covers the whole body. It's what holds in our organs, it holds our muscles and bones, it holds us all together. It's kind of like a web, a spider web, so to speak, that covers all of us underneath our skin. And it's the fascia that holds these suppressed or repressed emotions, okay? Whenever we're not dealing with those emotions, whenever we're not letting them out of the body, they can find their way into the fascia and get stuck in there. So our feelings, our thoughts, all that sort of stuff can get stuck, and then that is what causes physical injury or physical symptoms. There's this strong link here between the emotional side, the mental side, and then the physical symptoms that are displayed. So you can use this information now that we have collected so far. You'll know maybe what areas of the body are experiencing pain. That was our first part. We've maybe linked up some emotions or thoughts or feelings. Maybe we've identified some meridians to work with. And then to actually release those emotions out of the body, to release them out of the fascia, my favorite tool to use is yin yoga. So yin yoga, if you've never tried yin yoga, I would love for you to come try a class. I do have a free class coming up this Saturday. So I'll pop the link down in the show notes below. That will be Saturday, the 15th of February. But yin yoga is such an amazing experience. If you've tried other forms of yoga, but you haven't tried yin yoga is very different. We hold the poses for 2 to 10 minutes. It is quite a long held pose, and it's very a passive practice where we're not targeting the muscles. Instead, you do let the muscles relax, where once we do that, we're able to target the connective tissue and the fascia more effectively. So we do relax the body. It's often, seated poses or even lying down. It's very, I want to say gentle. It can be gentle, but at the same time, depending on what's being stored within the body, you may experience a strong emotional reaction. I've had people who have come to my yin yoga classes and have told me that they didn't really like it. It wasn't for them. And I suspect it was not because the class was too hard physically, but I think it was more to do with the fact that they maybe had repressed emotions and they couldn't really deal with those emotions that were coming up. They really struggled with the emotional and mental aspect of yin yoga. But that is one of the beautiful healing aspects of yin yoga, is that as we do hold these poses for such a long time, it does become quite a meditative experience, and you are able to do that inner healing work as well as these emotions and things are released out of the body. Maybe you can also start to find some healing within the mind, within the heart, healing emotions, healing thought patterns, and it becomes quite a powerful experience. So we can use yin yoga to target specific meridians. So maybe through your investigation work that we've done earlier in this episode, you've identified that perhaps you need to work on the lung or the large intestine meridian to release grief. Maybe you need to work on releasing fear. So you might work with the urinary bladder meridian or the kidney meridian. So it will be very tailored to what you're needing to release. And then, of course, if we already know like what physical area of the body we're holding on to things, sometimes we don't really need to necessarily understand what emotion is coming up. But if we work with yin yoga to release that area of the body, maybe during our yin yoga experience, we'll find some sort of insight and we're able to release that out of the body, as well as release the emotion and the physical side of things. And sometimes just yin yoga can be healing on a physical level, and you may not know the emotional cause. It may not come to you, and that's fine as well. As long as you feel better by the end of it, then that's the main thing. So yin yoga can be a really, really powerful tool to use, especially if we have held on to emotions for quite some time and we're seeing that link between our emotions and our physical body, or even if we do just have these physical things that are going on, maybe we can try yin yoga to help us understand that connection between mind, body, and spirit, and to find that release through the body and the emotions. So from this episode, you've gone from having maybe these lingering or recurring symptoms that may be unexplained. Maybe now you found that link between those physical symptoms and your emotions or your thought patterns, and how these are actually affecting your physical body. And now you know how to release that out through yin yoga. You have now unlocked one key, an important key to your healing journey. So if you're curious about learning more about releasing emotions out of the body, if you'd like to learn more about the meridians, how that works, as well as like the metaphysical correlations, like what's emotions and thoughts are related to the shoulders, the head, the neck, the knees, all this sort of stuff, I invite you to join my 50-hour yin yoga teacher training. This is a super exciting opportunity to study with me this year to deepen your understanding of yin yoga, how emotions are related to the physical body. We journey through so much inside this 50-hour yin yoga teacher training. We cover about 25 yin yoga poses, how to move into them safely and effectively, how to work with meridians, how to work with chakras, how to teach yin yoga classes. We go into practical teaching. And this is not just for yoga teachers. Of course, if you are already a yoga teacher, this can be a wonderful skill to add on to your existing skill set. But this yin yoga teacher training can be really beneficial to a range of other people who work with the body, who work with emotions, including breathwork facilitators, kinesiologists, aromatherapists, retreat hosts. It can be a really special skill for you to add onto your retreats. Maybe even people who work with the physical body, maybe like personal trainers or group fitness instructors. Yin yoga will also give you a deeper understanding and to help you find a bit of balance between the more yang styles of movement. So my yin yoga teacher training is officially open for enrollments. It's a self-paced online course, and then you also receive a weekend retreat included where we get together in person for you to practice teaching yin yoga and as well as experience yin yoga, as well as we cover a lot of the theoretical components on our weekend training retreat as well. So the early bird special offer finishes this Saturday, 15th of February. If you want to come along and try out yin yoga first, I invite you to come along to my free yin yoga class this Saturday morning. That's in Sydney time, Sydney, Australia time. I'll pop the link down in the show notes anyway, so you can maybe book in for that free class, come along and try it out. If the time doesn't work for you, that's also fine. And you'll also find the link down there to join the 50-hour yin yoga teacher training. Super exciting opportunity for you to deepen your understanding of the emotions and how they connect to the body and how to release those emotions out of the physical body. So I'm very curious about what you identified about emotions that may be trapped in your body. What did you learn from this episode? Did you learn something new about yourself? Maybe you identified that there might be something that's repressed, maybe some trauma or emotions that are hidden inside the body that you haven't been able to deal with, and maybe now it's presenting as a physical symptom. I'd love to know if this episode was helpful. If you have questions, you can always comment below. You can share your insights below if there's the function for you to comment here. Otherwise, you can continue the conversation on Instagram or Facebook. You'll find me at kyrahowearth.official. So stay magical, stay manifesting, and stay tuned. I'll talk with you in another episode really soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Moon Manifesting podcast. If you are curious about working with the moon, you can read my book, Moon Manifesting, or join us inside the Moon Manifesting Coven. You'll find the links in the show notes or go to kyrahowearth.com.